All right, we're back. What's up? We're back at the command center. Um, it's a little bit late, so we've got our red light on. And frankly, maybe this is the new setup. Maybe I have a little background red light. I know a lot of YouTubers have some light in the background, so maybe that's what's going to happen. But it's late, so I've been getting into like doing the red light at night, canceling out the blue light in the evenings, and it's helped me sleep a lot better, I have to say. One thing I'm doing that's helping. But we're back at the command center, and I know it's been a while. I've been to like 10 different countries, probably more than that actually. Europe, Asia, was in Alaska with a friend of ours, Alaska and on last week. And then I went to camp over the last few days in northern Tennessee, almost at the border of Kentucky, a place called Big Fork South. And it's a wonderful place to hike. Lots of trails, lots of great camp spots, broken bridges that you can kind of balance beam across, 10 to 15 feet above raging waters, which will get your blood pumping. And we've had a wonderful, blessed experience over the last year, I really have to say. It's been really awesome. And apparently, there is a demand for me to get back to action. Um, Alaska Non had mentioned that there is a voice which needs to return to the space. He likes the vids, I guess. And then I got on Doug's show. He helped set that up actually on Monero Talk. And, Doug says I have cult followers apparently. And, you know, apparently a wallet provider wants me to be a sponsor for them. Um, I don't know if they caught the drift that I don't make videos that much, but I told him that. I said, hey, I don't really make videos all that much, but if you're okay with me just like doing vids every now and then and just giving you a shout out, like I can do that. That's fine. And if there's a good product, I don't really need to get like paid or have like any kind of sponsorship necessarily. It's just like I'll shout out your product. Y'all know me. I've done that for a long time. But really, what I'm looking for is a wallet that will allow me to do accounting stuff. That's what I really want. I'm kind of talking to a couple different wallet providers at the moment. And really, what I'm saying is just help me help you. Like, I want to make your product better. And I think one of the biggest problems right now is Monero adoption for businesses. And I do get people who reach out to me wanting to get more detail as to how to account for Monero. And that's something that's complicated for people, especially if they're trying to do their own books, especially if you don't have a background in accounting and you're not trying to hire an accountant just for the purpose of doing this kind of thing, because it can get complicated. And I do believe there are ways to have it so that if you have a wallet and you're using it for business, there are certain features that you should be able to turn on the wallet and make it so that you can classify expenses accordingly, you can pull statements as needed, and then all you have to do, if what I think comes to reality, all you have to do is do one single journal entry that the wallet can populate every period, every month, quarter, whatever, and you log all of your transactions at that time into QuickBooks or whatever. And like it'll do the journal entry for you. It's called a trial balance effectively. So if you have a way for a wallet to generate a trial balance within it, then all you do is you just pop up a journal entry and you put in the debits and credits in accordance with that trial balance, and boom, you've done your Monero accounting. All you literally have to do is just record the transactions as you do them. In fact, I thought of an idea where it's like you have a prompt that pops up when you go to make a transaction, and you just kind of choose, hey, this is an advertising expense, or hey, this is a personal expense, or hey, whatever. And it goes to the proper balance sheet or profit and loss account. And then at the end of the period, you just pull your statement. And if you have an accountant with full chain membership proofs, they're going to be able to just log the transactions as they occur. And then you send them like a statement at the end of the month that shows what all the transactions are for. Maybe there's even a vendor section that you put in there in order to identify who you transacted with. And if that becomes popular, maybe you have QR codes that people can scan and auto populates that field. I mean, I got ideas. I just want a wallet to kind of implement some of this so that um, it makes it easy for the rest of us. Because right now, it's just honestly not that great. And I love all the wallets out there doing Monero adoption. Don't get me wrong, and we have our preferences and sorts, but I do think that this is pretty crux. And any wallet that is interested in doing this, I will represent your product. That's basically all I'm saying. So, anyways, that's in motion. But I'm behind on the super chats, so before I get on to making more vids, which is the current plan, because I'm not traveling for a while. Um, I'm traveled out, dude. I've done I've experienced so much, dude, over the last really since May. It's been insane. I've been, to the Northeast United States. I've been to Alaska. I've been to Tennessee. I've been to Eastern Europe and Asia and Central Europe. I mean, it's been a freaking adventure. I've met wizards and warlocks and witches and dragons and the rest of it, dude. I'm honestly not joking about most of those. I have run into some weird stuff, but also some very beautiful and awesome stuff. Maybe I'll make a video about the travel adventures I've had. But I want to just get through these super chats because I feel bad about getting to them late. So let's do that. So the first one is from Cypher Bliss. I think this is where I left off. And this was a while ago, Cypher Bliss. So I'm sorry for literally just getting to you. I hope you're still a listener because this was like 2 months ago. But you say, glad to see you're enjoying your travels. Went to Thailand myself some years ago and hit the pads for 8 weeks. Was awesome, dude. That's awesome, bro. 8 weeks is a freaking that's a trek when you're doing Muay Thai in Thailand because it's pretty tough. It's not easy, especially if you're doing the classes. They're pretty intense. Um, I basically mainly just did coaching because I really need to get the art down more than anything. So if you're in the States, there are a lot of places that you go to where it's more about the martial part as opposed to the art part. It's more about getting the exercise in and not so much about learning the technique. And when you go to Thailand, it's very much about the technique and it's very much about the art. And the dude I was training with was like a straight up stickler about my punch. I don't know where I learned to punch exactly. I did boxing for like, about a couple of years. And before that, I trained as a DBZ warrior in my room as a kid, going Super Saiyan and pretending like I'm getting the bad guys or whatever. But like, you know, I guess I really needed to work on the punch, twisting the fist as you're going into it, squishing the bug, turning the hips, and you know, the guy just like critiqued my punch like the entire time, my jab, my punch, and knees and kicks and all the rest of it. The kicks, I did not do enough stretching before I went there. I did a lot of walking in Europe before I went to Thailand, but dude, you got to get your stretches in because when they get you doing those kicks, boy, you better be loose. But it was amazing. It was really amazing. Great food, great beaches, all the rest of it. But 8 weeks, that's great, dude. You probably got in phenomenal shape. You asked thoughts on RWAs, which are real world assets. Are governments and institutions going to get involved in this? If it stays decentralized, how even would that work? So, um, I'm gonna come up with a video here pretty soon. I've been doing more thinking about private capital markets. Um, right now, the governments and institutions are tokenizing assets. That is something that they're doing. And I even saw that some wallets are allowing you to buy stocks now because you can buy the tokenized version of the stock. So there are these wallets where you would, and I think Edge Wallet is one of them, where you were able to buy crypto in the wallet, but now you can buy stocks because it's being tokenized on like Solana and Ripple, and I think Stellar Lumens are getting involved somehow. But you can buy these things as tokenized assets, which is really cool. If you're into that, I'm not too much into all that stuff. I'm really looking at the dark side of what's going to happen with that, where you get private companies all over the world who are basically off grid and who can if it's legal, which is a big if, tokenize their own profit interest in their companies. Now, it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to tokenize assets. I'm still trying to figure out how that works, where you can tokenize an asset and then trade it amongst people. Like, because an asset, at least in the context of like cars and houses and business interests, they're localized things. Um, and especially if you're talking about an asset share of a business, that gets complicated in many ways, in a way that's more complicated than profit interests, which I think can work for private capital markets. Um, if you're investing in a private company that you don't have too much information about, but you have enough information to where you're enthused to invest your money and get a return, you know, maybe you could get a share of the profits, but I don't think you're going to be able to get a share of like, the capital if they go to sell their business. I mean, you don't even know who they are, so it's like not even worth thinking that's going to happen unless they're very nice. But I'm still trying to get my head around like tokenizing physical assets. Like you mentioned real world assets. I'm very curious about that. There was a guy, I think it was Aaron Day, who wanted to come up with a way to come up with gold backed tokens on Zano. I don't know what's going on with that. I haven't heard anything lately. So I don't, there's a lot of like regulation and technical stuff involved with all that. Are they going to get involved in this, the institutions and the governments? I think they're going to try because, um, you know, just everyone's trying to digitize everything. It's just part of the push. The more that you can digitize stuff, the more that you can get people onto the digital plantation, which I think is the main goal. I mean, I made a video something like a month ago now about how, you know, we're in this technocratic system and anything that can be digitized will be digitized, even if it's not totally efficient, just because I think that's the environment that they want to put people in, where it's like the more real world is actually the digital world as opposed to the analog world. Um, Anything that can be digitized will be digitized, and plus you lose privacy at the same time. You're able to collect data when people are interacting with digital things, and therefore maybe you can monetize it, which in that case does make it more efficient and effective than just keeping it analog. But um so I don't know how that's going to work, but maybe it does. Investing, so this is from Anon. Investing in gold on hyperliquid based or hyperliquid, the next danger, like the Terra Luna collapse. Bro, I don't know anything about hyperliquid. I saw this a while ago and I said I was going to look into it to myself, but I didn't. To be honest with you, I have no idea what's going on with hyperliquid. If you all know about hyperliquid, go do it. How do current high gold and silver prices correlate with the present inflationary environment? Your future outlook on this topic or this topics, please. Thank you so much. Yeah, gold and silver are going freaking nuclear. Um, Pretty insane. Uh, I've been a gold and silver guy for a long time, longer than crypto. I think I was first interested in silver back when it was like 13 bucks, and now it's almost 50. And so that's done pretty freaking well. The miners are taking off. This space is going crazy. Uranium has been a good pick. I told you all about uranium years ago, and that's doing freaking phenomenal. There is a stock called Oklo, OKLO, and it was given government contracts, and it went from something like, I don't know, 15 bucks to now 115 bucks. It's gone crazy. Um, and the uranium sector has gone nuclear, no pun intended. But yeah, there are a lot of people who still like gold and silver. The Bitcoin bros who thought gold and silver were going to go out of fashion, wrong, as I've said forever. Gold and silver are the OG privacy coins, and it's completely not digital. So you can go ahead and get yourself some gold and silver, and it's off the grid. It's off the grid money. The only problem is you got to carry it around. It's got a physical nature to it. So depending on how much money you have, you may want to opt for one over the other. But I think both are going to do pretty good. I mean, so much silver being used every day, especially with the digitization of everything. And with the digitization of everything, with AI, with the increased energy demand, silver and uranium in particular have been just major plays, and they've worked out pretty well. So, Aster, this is another one from Anon. Aster, a competitor to the perpetual DEX Hyperliquid, allows users to trade IOU stocks. Obviously, Bitcoin was not launched on the stock exchange, so that's not the solution. Any thoughts on wealth creation and preservation in that regard? I'd have to look into Hyperliquid. Allows users to trade IOU stocks. So basically, they buy what? They buy like a derivative? Is that what they're buying? They're buying like the price action? Is that what's going on? I'm not quite sure. But if you want preservation of wealth, you want to actually hold the wealth. You want to actually have the layer one coin. Like, dude, having like a layer one coin seems to be like the new taking possession of your gold and silver. Like, like Bitcoin's at 124K now, and the blocks are empty. Like people just aren't even transacting Bitcoin anymore. It's like just it's ethereal stuff that's going on. And what's crazy is if these exchanges were shut down or like cyber attacked or something like that, dude, the number of transactions that would have to hit the network and the amount of time that it would take for the transactions to send without the superfluous secondary layers that have been built up on Bitcoin, like centralized and otherwise. It's like, dude, you may never get your money with all the people who own this stuff, but don't quite own it and never actually trade it. I mean, people still don't know that there is like a 7 transaction per second limit for Bitcoin, but people don't know that. They don't have to deal with that reality because everything is kind of on a computer screen otherwise. It's kind of funny. But I'm sorry, dude. I've got to look into Hyperliquid. I'll I'll look into that and maybe get back to you on. So, Anon, you sent another one, dude. Thank you for all these super chats. Crazy. Monero is a growing network based off demand for privacy. Using this perp dexes results in 90% of users being liquidated, meaning all their funds are lost. With spot, this does not happen. Trading with leverage introduces time as a variable against the user. Okay. So you're a hyperliquid guy, is what it sounds like. So I guess people need to look into hyperliquid. Uh, Using this perp dex's results. Maybe we speak a different language, brother. I know you're trying with the English. I just don't quite see what you're saying here. Sounds bad. People losing funds and stuff. Anon, situations and valuations being unrealistic and coordinated dumps are taking place to hunt liquidation levels. Using leverage is dumb in most cases. Actively duller cost average in stock gold positions without leverage via smart contracts. New gen ogre. Okay. Yeah, speaking of ogre, rip trade ogre. I didn't get to make a special video on that, although I should have made a dedicated one. Just giving our thanks to the OG. We need Sarai decks. That'd be great. We're gonna miss the trade ogre, dude. Good days. I mean, I can't believe how long trade ogre lasted, dude. Every time I went on that website, I was like, oh, okay, no FBI seal. Like, we're good to go. But the day finally came. And it wasn't the FBI, it was the Canadian Royal Mount. Who the hell are they? you know, the Canadian Royal Mount got to him. Never would have imagined. But, you know, God bless him. Rest in peace. I guess the guy had passed away. The guy who had run the website. I don't know if that happened or what, or he was in some kind of John McAfee situation. I don't know. But whoever, dude, ran Trade Ogre, salute to you. You were a soldier. You served your mission. Back to Anon, another one. Of course, this perp dexes, bro. I'm sorry, I don't know what these perp dexes are. Have a freeze function in trade history and log IP address. So fund your accounts with VPNs split via different methods of funding from XMR to BNB slash ARB ETH. And remember to know where you came from. Buy some lovely clean XMR. Okay, wow. Um, uh, yeah, Molvad VPN you can buy with Monero. You know, that makes it pretty private. Yeah, they do log IP addresses at some of these places, so you do want it. I mean, generally speaking, when you're doing anything financial on the internet, particularly if you're doing crypto stuff, best to have a VPN on all the time. Um, okay. Another one from Anon. Dude, thank you for all these super chats. I don't know who you are, but you're awesome. Binance allowed long, huge withdrawal amounts without KYC. CZ was jailed for providing web UI for spot trading with email registration like Trader. Dude, that was a crazy time, dude. So back in like 2017, like there was one exchange called uh not Bitfinex or BitConnect, or actually it was Bitfinex. I think that's what I'm thinking of. Dude, you could just straight up set yourself up with like an email and get trading. That's what it was like pretty much everywhere, except for maybe like Coinbase. But even at that time, I don't think they asked for like IDs or anything. It was just like get on and get going, connect your bank account. Now, if you connect your bank account, you're pretty much doxxed at that point. But still, like yeah, it was. The kids won't know how good we had it, bro. We had it so good. Dexes are coming for the bank's lunch money. Bro, the banks, they've got a little bit more than lunch money. They've got like dinner money. They've got like dessert money. They've got midnight snack money. They've got a lot more than lunch money, boy. Um, but I agree, the Dexes, if people know how to use them. Now, I just want to say something. Like all of us in this world live in a completely different universe than most people. I think a lot of us, myself included, kind of underestimate um, just where people are at, or maybe overestimate. But like we overestimate just how much people are going to be willing to do for themselves to protect their assets, if they even have assets to protect. Um, you know, just people kind of get into a flow, man, and convenience is a powerful current. And if you don't make it easy for them, and if these dexes are not easy, like simple, like, hey, I want to buy something and it's not 2 clicks away, people just aren't going to do it. But I'm happy those solutions exist for the people who will, and then they'll make it easier for the other people to get it. So that's like a great business model. Is if you're able to get Monero or anything that's a little bit difficult to get, um, and you have the specialty, the patience, and the time to go through those extra hoops to get it, and then you can sell it to people who don't want to go through those extra hoops, but maybe they have the money and they're willing to pay you a premium to do that extra hoop jumping. That would be great. And you know what? That's something like an XMR Bazaar app on your phone or like a Havano app on your phone could open up a portal to. You could have a bunch of tech and geek nerds selling a bunch of like Monero, which is otherwise hard to get for average people, I would say, um, for a fat premium to people who don't want to go through KYC but are willing to pay a premium to buy it. I hope somebody comes up with that at some point. That'd be really cool. Providing USD uh, LP APYs, liquidity provider APYs. I think that's from anywhere in the world. Yeah, I'm excited for Sarai Dex. I think that's going to be really cool. Um, you've also got Zano Trade, which is a decentralized exchange within the Zano ecosystem. Freedom Dollars, private stablecoin, which is traded within that system, I think, increasingly. Um, you linked to a YouTube video. I did look this up. I'm a little bit suspicious about opening links with my computer, but I opened it up on my phone and it actually took um, me to like the only live stream I did a long time ago, which was like 4 hours. That was a solid live stream. That was during like the depths of COVID. That was a crazy time. That's when I made most of my videos was in COVID, and there wasn't really much else to do. So I just pounded out video after video. The golden era. You said it in a live stream that we need short snippets of good arguments for Monero. It would be cool to see you using the YouTube Shorts feature. Love your energy today and back then. You know what would be great is, I'm just the guy who gets on a mic and um, and talks. Like I'm not a video editor. I've never really edited a video that I've put out there. Never. I think I've tried to blank out something that I shouldn't have said at one point, but like that's about all. Like I'm not a video editor. I don't even have video editing software. I don't even know where to go for that. I'm so dumb when it comes to video editing. So if I like met somebody who would be willing to do that kind of thing and they're willing to sit through all my videos and make that kind of commitment, it's like, I give them some of the donation proceeds or something, if that's something that they would be interested in doing. I don't know. But, maybe I need to do more streams. Maybe I need to do more streams too. You mentioned the live stream, maybe I start doing more streaming. The thing is, I have such like a ADD laden life with like my business and like all the different hobbies I get into that like it's hard for me to plan this kind of thing unless it's like, you know. So, love your energy today back then. Well, thank you, brother. And I can tell this is a different Anon because you were anonymous. We have a different Anon. It's like Junior with JR and then Junior spelled out. Technology, and you have another one here. Technology is neutral and should serve humanity, helping us build positive relationships with others. We must choose wisely how we use it to avoid negative outcomes and align our actions with ethical values. Much love and strength. To forgive, see, be with you. Christ be with you. I think that's what that means. God bless you. Thank you. But I agree. It's really depending on where we come from, when we use the technology. I was just tuned in actually to a Tucker Carlson episode, and he was talking with a guy. I'm like 20 minutes into it, but he was talking with a guy about the occult and how a lot of people high up in Silicon Valley and in the government and in Hollywood are in the occult. Now, all of us kind of knew that a little bit, but this guy apparently is going to give like a pretty in-depth expose about this kind of thing. And look, what's crazy is the people who are at the forefront of the technological revolution are seemingly demonically oriented. They channel spirits. They're into psychedelics, which open up portals to the underworld, and they're into that kind of thing. And before people say, Matt, you don't know what you're talking about with the psychedelics and how it opens up portals to demon world. It does. I know that. I I have some background with that world. I'm not going to go into detail, but it does open up worlds to where you can be demonically influenced. That's a real thing. I've been listening to these testimonials of people who have converted to Christianity. And dude, almost without exception, when somebody busts out a Ouija board, it's I was about to say it's over, but it's just begun. Their descent into the abyss. Like when you start messing with certain things, dude, you start to have some spirits come into your reality, and that's not any kind of joke, bro. Like there is a spiritual nature to it all. Like Ephesians 6:12, dark powers, principalities in high places. Like um, I think people think to some degree it's like a ha ha funny kind of joke thing sometimes when it comes to like tarot cards and the occult and like getting tattoos with certain things. And it's like, no, it's kind of not. It's pretty serious actually. And, some people are a little bit willy nilly with their spiritual orientation, but you really can't be that way, dude. Like the demons are trying to trick you all the time into things that long term will wreck your life if you really allow it to kind of get into your domain. And the problem that we're facing as a society, one of them anyway, is that we have these technologists who are very much in the occult practice and are very much interacting with demonic energy. Like this whole thing with CERN, for instance, where it's like they're shooting freaking photons through like a giant laser cannon and they're making little black holes and they have like, some Hindu demon goddess outside, where she's like eating some headless person or something. Like, dude, like that all has like a reality to it that is a little bit real, maybe too real for people to acknowledge and understand. Like, and so when we use technology to fight against this force, we have to kind of remember that there is a spiritual nature to this battle that we're in. And it's not simply just like freedom technology versus like, enslavement technology. Like it's a little bit higher level than that. It's not like, hey, we're going to have more freedom if we use this. It's like we could, or this could be a Pandora's box, which unleashes its own variation of Legion into the world. Like, so we got to have some ethical values. I agree. And, we've got to be a little bit smart as to how we present this because we don't want to entice the kinds of people who are in control of the world now to maybe pivot to Monero and want to use this for their own evil ends. Like we want to hopefully empower the right people so that we can actually make positive change as opposed to further enable evil in the world, which is a common critique when it comes to our lovely Monero. You're enticing this kind of trade and this kind of activity. And instead, if we buy cookies from grandma with Monero, or we support a local church or something like that with Monero, which I haven't really made an initiative in my own life to do. People just donate cash, which I think is probably fine. They did use PayPal for a while, which was a little sketchy. But it's like you can do your own thing in the world to help encourage people to use this in a better way. So I'm with you, Anonymous. I'm with you. We must choose wisely how we use it to avoid negative outcomes. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And we do have some folks in our community who like want to actively push gambling and stuff like that. And I just disagree with that push, you know, especially if we're going to be saying like things like, Christ is king and like we're a Christian movement. We shouldn't be supporting gambling operations necessarily, I don't think. Um, so those are just some thoughts. Thanks for the super chats. If you want to leave a super chat, you can on my XMR chat page, Monero CPA. That's who we are. And you can leave a tip here, and I'll go ahead and make a vid to give you a shout out, answer your questions, and let you know what's up. And sorry, Cypher Bliss, for being a couple months late. It doesn't have a date when you left that, but it was a while ago. So God bless everyone. Happy to be back. Hope you all are well out there. Be well.